The Zorgon Peterson Mandalay is going to be the ship of the moment. A lot of commanders are saying it's going to be their daily driver. It's going to be a great explorer, and hey, you might want to go and bomb a Titan in it. Who knows? It'll all be a good bit of fun. People are astounded by the outside design of the ship. Its swept wings, its aggressive looking features. But what about the inside? In particularly the cockpit. I got my VR headset out and we're going to have a good look around the cockpit in VR, which you'll be surprised to know has been fully realised. Hello, it's Ricardo and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. I have blown all the dust off my Meta Quest 2 Pro headset, something that I haven't used for quite some time. I used to do a bit of boxercise on it in the morning, shoot some zombies with it, you know, the general things that you did during the pandemic with a VR headset. Frontier first introduced VR support in Elite Dangerous during the expansions, the early expansions like Horizons. It brought that new level of immersion and the ability to see the cockpit and experience the galaxy in full 3D, which added immensely to the game's appeal. It was, however, a little bit of a shock, especially to the VR community, that this was going to be stopped and not carried forward into Elite Dangerous Odyssey. That could have been down to addressing performance issues and bringing in new features, as opposed to looking at a demographic of player who may not have been using a VR headset. However, I was quite surprised to find that the new Mandalay ship has been completely realised with immense detail in the game. So we're going to take a good look at this and have a bit of a crawl around on the floor in my office with a headset on, look under the panels, look down inspection pits and have a good look of what we can see inside the new cockpit. Let's get that headset on. Right, okay, I've got the headset on now, so I'm currently in VR. I got it all connected up onto the test server, and straight away I can say, and it probably doesn't translate very much, the very shaky image you've got, which you use when you've got VR, that the level of detail is astounding. Obviously built on the basis of the old Mamba cockpit as well, because the design actually flows from one to another. I was quite interested to see all the other little bits of detail that was put in it. Like if you look in the little cubby holes, and you probably can't quite see it, there's a Zorgon Peterson mug in there, amongst other things. I was quite interested to see how all this was going to flow out. Moving just behind the pilot seat, and you can see I'm walking around my office, people must be wondering what I'm doing. You've got these dynamic displays here as well, graphs. Everyone likes a graph. You know, you've got a panel there as well with cells on it, with different details. You've got little points here. There are lots of little modules that have been branded Mandalay. There's been little sections that say insert keyboard here. Panels with keep clear written on them. Speakers built into the side of the cockpit. Panels, as you can see, we've got a nice graph, and everyone likes a nice graph showing particular data. In addition to this, we've got steps. We've got panels that mention crew, ladders that allude down to inspection pits, things like that. Glancing upwards out of the cockpit, we can see Jameson Memorial spinning up there in the distance, effortlessly. The cockpit is nice and spacious, and as we crawl under the desk, and people must be wondering what the hell I'm doing out my office if any of my family walked in, we can see grills with pipes hidden below them. Very sort of functional, but with design. You've got the Zorgon Peterson frosting on the inspection window down by your feet. The attention to detail, I think, is absolutely wonderful. And perhaps not an awful lot of people do this sort of thing, especially with a VR helmet on. Shiny pipes, access panels, like I say, and even looking at the chair, I found myself walking around the chair in the room where no chair existed. Now, as we move over, still looking underneath, we've got fire extinguishers, we've got like a heater vented oxygen supply, more panels with more information pertaining to the ship on them. bit of a dashboard thing going on here, to be perfectly honest. Now I'm right up against my work PC here, as I'm pointing at things as well. As I walk now basically towards my garden, we can see just down on the left hand side an inspection pit, which probably got life support down there. You've got the secondary pilot seat that is directly behind me. Stairs as well. Doors. Where do those doors lead to? Could it be potential cabins? And as I'm right round next to my R2-D2 model, you can see steps going downwards, again more pipes, and there is a door. Now in that door, I thought it was an escape pod first off, and it may well be, but what I can understand is that there's a suit in a glass cabinet down there. So you wonder where you keep all your suits? Could be there. It could be the wardrobe for your exobiology or your dominator or your maverick suit. That aspect down there has got to be something to do with life support, I would say, although until we can get down there we can't really tell. But again, the level of detail is fantastic, even down to the cable ties underneath the desk with Zorgon Peterson written on them. So all in all, a spacious cockpit. A really spacious cockpit. Now unfortunately I can't get any further, I'm right up against my arcade machine there, but you can probably just try and make out something down there in that case. And take it from me, it looks like there's a suit in there as well. So without the ability to walk through walls or anything like that, I'm kind of stuck. I suppose what you could do is when the game is released and you can get two pilots in there, they may have a better view if the second pilot jumps on with VR. What's down there? That's the question. So all this has been realised in there, obviously heavily leveraged from the Mamba cockpit. Some people will say, oh, it's exactly the same as the Mamba cockpit. Well, you know, perhaps they will. But the level of detail I found on this did give me an added extra respect for all those commanders who play in VR. So here we have it, the Mandalay Cockpit with all its little quirks, all its little detailed refinements. Flying the ship in VR actually is a dream. It really is. I didn't think I was going to get on with it, but I did. And I think, you know, it'll be something to do, a little added bit of immersion. Who knows what Frontier are going to bring in the future? Who knows? Either way, I was happily surprised. This has been a first look at the Mandalay Cockpit in VR. Let me know what you think. Will you be dusting off any Quest or Oculus headsets and plugging them into Elite Dangerous to experience Elite Dangerous in VR? Or are you happy with that standard 2D experience that we normally get? Headsets are certainly cheap enough. Let me know in the comments. I've been Ricardo. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon.